The VIX continues to edge on down as the S&P continues to edge higher. And if we take this high and low here, just to keep things very simple, a little bit tricky to see in here, but the 61.8% is here. So we're seeing now this market, really push back above the 61.8% from this previous high. So to have this down as a wave 1 here for a bigger bear market, and then an ABC for a wave 2, it's not looking good at that point. So there's more of a bullish bias in this market, as we pointed out in other ways as well, with this. So one of the things with the S&P here is that I always like to ask myself, what is support? What does it look like? How do we confirm it? Is that 4,000? Is it support yet? Well, it is in a little way. It's got this little retest here where it's pushed up and it's come back and tested it. Is it possible to come back and test it again from a new high? I think it is possible, but the wave counts that we're seeing in the stock market are telling me that we're going to be pushing higher. So, can we come back to this high and retest it? I think we could. I've got this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. That's a bit bold and forward, but the other way to count this would be looking for 5 waves from this low here, and that's also doable as well, and that would take us a little bit higher up here. And even if that was the case, let's just assume for a moment that we do get you could count this as 5 waves up here. Well, then I think that we would end up with an ABC pattern, and we would still move up higher at that point, because as I mentioned, coming from this high here to this low, we're really breaching that. This is the 78.6 here of that, and that's fine. And, the 61.8% is something that was just really a guide stick, really, because the market can retrace, 99.9% of the previous trend and still be there. So we just need to be careful. My take on the situation is that we are looking very bullish across the market, and I'll continue to simply stay with the trend until proven otherwise. I know that half the world's bearish, and there's good reason for that. It's difficult to be bullish. It's hard to be against the flow of everything, and people and myself, we change our minds as we go along. As things look a bit more bullish, we'll say, well, could it be bullish? And we start to move into that particular space of being bullish. Or so to be against, to be a contrarian against the mainstream of the markets being bearish is a tough call. All I can do and all I can say is, from an Elliott point of view and trading levels and price and volume, is that the markets are pushing higher, and we need to stay with the facts. We need to look at what we're looking at deeply and ask ourselves, it's going up. We're seeing impulse waves to the upside and corrective waves to the downside. If I was seeing 5 waves to the downside and 3 waves to the upside, at any degree, really, within reason, then, I would be looking at the bearish side. But that hasn't been the case since down here, so, or at this particular point, in fact, so we need to stay on the long side. Anyway, we'll talk about this a little bit in here, but let's just cruise into the stocks. So with Apple here, one of the other things that we can look at as well, when Friday closes strong, and yes, it did get sold off, it's the weekend, but when Friday closes reasonably strong, then that momentum within the trend that we're looking at, we can expect that to carry through on the Monday. Now, we could see some selling straight up on the open or pre-open, but the momentum of the market is still to the upside. So with Apple here, we can expect it to move up higher. Now, you may want to take profit at the 150. Certainly take something off at the 150 when we arrive at that particular point. Any of the long trades that we have in the market do not lose any money at this point. So if the market comes down, starts testing where we've entered, well, then you'll need to exit at that point. You don't. Rule number 1 and rule 2 and rule 3 are all don't lose money. Don't let a winning trade turn into a losing trade. So, but you're big boys, I don't need to put a stop there, but I could, if I was going to put a stop here, I'd bring it above where we are at the moment. So you can see with Apple, we've got a really good trend here. Now with Apple, there's different ways to count this up here. Now, whichever way I count it, I would look at it as a bullish wave, and I would be looking at it coming further up. And I just want to see the dance that it's going to deliver across the 150, but I'd still expect it to move up further. But I would be looking at Apple and most markets as wave 1 and 2, just like we're looking at the S&P, and it's just not that too. I mean, the US has been sluggish to get off its October lows, whereas European markets have bolted, and where Asian markets have bolted as well, and that's really because of those countries doing business with China. This is a daily chart for the A50, the top 50 stocks, and it's a daily chart coming in on the same sort of lows. And I can see, and you can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. There's 5 waves here, but I'm counting as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So there's a bigger bullish pattern happening in China, and any countries that are so it's opening and, it's doing business. Maybe it's a whole lot of fluff and the money's just flowing in there and nothing's actually happening yet. They still need to get over the COVID to a point so they can, start manufacturing and so on, I guess. But it is there, it's there that, so looking at these as looking at a bigger bullish pattern for all of these is good. So what we'll do with this situation, a lot of the markets around the world are simply going up for wave 1 and 2. So we'll fit a lot of these stocks into that as well, okay? We've still got further to climb. We've still got corrections to be had. So not to get too excited. We'll be looking for opportunities to move in. We've got to be careful with Amazon here. If you're long here with this, it's probably a good idea to take some money off the table at this point up here, because I could probably be wrong here, but normally we would see the market have at a number like this, at number 1, we would normally see the arrival here, the reaction, the first high above the level. So that's kind of where we are. We've got the arrival here, the reaction in 3 waves, and we're looking for the first high above the level. Now, when I count this up here, then I don't need to worry about this spike in the market and just taking a little bit left field. This spike that's occurred in the markets, we all know that that's from a fault at the exchange end. So we don't need to. I'm just going to sort of, most of the time I ignore sort of spikes when it comes to Elliott counts. If it's going to throw it out, I won't. I know some folks will sort of label it in some way, and that's okay too, and it's good that they do that, and the more ideas the better, I reckon. But for me, I'd rather take a philosophical view of it and just stay with the main traffic as the A wave, the B wave, 1, 2, and ask myself, WTF was that, and then look, but stay with the main traffic of a count. But yeah, so this move up here, I just feel that this is like the first high above the level. So normally it gets trapped in 103, it can trade above it, but normally not finding support on that. But we'll probably find support and move up here a bit further. But at the same time, we just need to be careful. Markets do get pulled to these large numbers here. If the number 2 here becomes the resistance, the 102, then I would be out of it at that point. So you need to get a retested resistance, and in that case, you need to see the market, well, come through here. Let's just say that it comes through, finds a low, and then it's going to go back for the retest. So then put the stop under that low there. So allow it to come down at that point. But it's got a good chance of, not so much with the wave count, because the wave count here is, I mean, I suppose I could look at this as 1 and 2 here, and 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I don't know. Most of them have got what this is wave 1 and 2 here, and looking at this as a third wave up here for this. So still needs to push up higher, but yeah, it can come back. Just be careful about that anyway. Not too sure best way to handle that. What have we got here? NVIDIA. So NVIDIA the same as well. We're at a big number here, a major level, and the market's going to be pulled back here. Now we know that the momentum, see once again we've got this as 1 and 2 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that all counts quite nicely. So we can pull back here and then push up here, and then we can just pull back here again with this as well. Now it may not be a wave 2, I know that we're going higher, but once we have our little setup across here, we'll look to move into this, because we didn't want to go long into this particular market. This is Meta Platforms here. Now, you would have to say that this particular move here is pretty strong, isn't it? You know, it's not like a corrective move going to the upside. You know, it's too strong. So once again, we're going to have to look at it as a bullish move, and if we want to get in with this particular market, and there'll be other markets like Google and Microsoft and others that will be looking for this wave 2 to pull back in here. So don't feel like you're missing anything, because you know, we're going to get some sort of thing like this happening somewhere along the line, and then it'll be this, you know, it'll be this low that we're going to move in on, okay, for the longer term at that point. Because once we clarify that we've got 5 waves here, which I think is the case, then we're going to be looking at a long term up here. So it's going to be the same old story that there's really nothing to trade, and then everything is tradable, you know. So this is what we'll be gunning for the longer term position holding and long term value buying and those sorts of things. This will be the one, because once we get 5 waves here, then we'll know that we're going to get another 5 to the upside at that point. So we'll call the low in at that point. So there's a couple of different ways to count this up here, and we'll have a look at them. It doesn't really matter, because we don't really want to go long just here. Now you could pick up a position. I mean, we've been trading this anyway, you know, in different sections. Could it push up further up into this space up here? Possibly, because this is, you know, if we looked at this, we've either got wave 1 to here and 2 and then 1 and 2, or we've got 1 and 2 here and this is a third wave. But even so, if we look at, let's just make a few assumptions, and you know the danger of that. We'll take that to 165, because that will be the lower end of group 2. That will give a 38.2% retracement level at that point. I'm going to take that into halfway at that stage there. So yeah, that could take us way up here actually. Oh, that's a bit of an issue, isn't it? That takes us further up. So that means that we can still trade this leg up. We'll just have to be a little bit mindful. It probably won't go that high, but it's possible. So what we'll do is, like, if just in a nutshell here, we can look at this as somehow we can look at it as wave 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So what we'll do is we'll trade wave 5 up, and then we'll get out, and then we'll look for the ABC pattern wherever that may be, and then we'll move up from that point. Okay, so we'll do something of that nature. So I'll just clear this here, and we'll just have a couple of, it's healthy to talk about how we can count this. So on the bullish side, Start with 20k. So yeah, we can look at it as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 for the third, fourth and fifth for 1 and 2. So it'll be something like this, you know. You can imagine that these wave 4s here, they haven't come into play yet. So that's all going to get messy and choppy in here. So, you know, you'll need some, some patience to get through all of that. But yeah, I think that we'll duck and dive and weave through all of this. I don't think that, you know, if we're long I can't remember if we're long at the moment. I think we are. We'll check on the smaller one. But yeah, we don't need to lose money in these wave 4s and things. We could trade wave 5 up and we can short the A and the B and the C or something, or short the A and the C, and then. But the main thing is we want this wave 2 here to go long. Okay, so now on the 10k we keep a different count. So this will be a slightly different count. This is making it a little bit tighter. So this will be 1 and 2 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third, fourth and fifth here, then 1 and 2 at that point. So that's interesting. That's a little bit sort of tighter. So we'll keep an eye on that count as well. Things will become obvious in hindsight when we start seeing wave 4s come into play with this. So yeah, so I mean, one of the main points here is that we're at 150, so the market in one way or another is going to do a little dance across this area here, this level, this price point above and below. So we don't need, you know, we know that, so we don't need to get caught in that. And even if we are caught in it, you're caught in it because we want to be caught in it, you know, because you want to go higher, because it will go higher. Yeah, we do have a situation here. We do, not a situation, but we have a position there. So you'll need to make up your mind if you want to take money off the table. You could probably get a bit higher up here with this. I'm not quite sure. I wouldn't trust that too much, but I think that we can. So you can stay in here for the longer term, and that, you know, we'll end up in one way or another. We'll end up at the 160, 165. We'll end up here somewhere. We'll try to get another position in the pullback over here for this, and we'll just see how that sort of plays out. So I will remove this for the time being, and you do what you need to do at that point. But like I said, with all of these trades, you know, we can go for the long, but we're not going to don't let them pass your opening price, wherever that may be, okay? So better to break even than have a loss. Rightio, so that's Facebook or Meta. Netflix here, so we're looking at this being quite bullish as well, but we always need to be careful. So with the levels here, we've got the from 300 to 400, we've got group 1, so that should hold above that. I think the worst thing that can happen, because last time we spoke, we're counting this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here going up for 5. I don't really even see a nice 5 waves here just yet, so we're probably going to be up here with this. But I think what we could do is look at the worst case scenario, and from this point here to this high here, this would be the 56. This will be the pocket, the 65 and the 62 there. So that's probably about the worst that could happen at this particular point. So you can either take profit here or hang on with all of this. So I'll take that away for the longer term traders at this point. And you can see how that sort of plays out. But we should be going higher with this. And, you know, Monday should, in the bullish weekly cycle that we have, that should follow through on that. So with Enphase here, we still need to be careful. I'm a bit short from this wave 4 up here, coming down as 1 and 2 here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll extended this out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm okay with that. Then the ABC for 4, and then 1 and 2 here. So I feel like, I mean, I could jam it all up, you know, as I've mentioned before. I could, it's not activated, activate cursor. So I could put that, you know, I could do, oops, Daisy, I could do something like that to get the low in. That might be acceptable. but I just don't want to go there just yet with this. Now the wave 4 here is rather too big as well for its relationship with wave 2, but I just want to play it out a little bit. So we can look at this as the A wave here, then an A wave here, because that's 5 waves here, and 3 waves here, and this is 5 waves here, even though it didn't make a new low. So we can look at this as an ABC pattern. That's impulsive, one, and ABC, that's corrective. That looks impulsive to me. So what we can do here is we can just wait for this wave to come in. And then anything above that, then we can look to go long at that point, because it would be above an A and a B and a C wave here. The other point here, this is wave 1 here, so this line through here, if this market pushes up and breaches that line, then we have wave 4 overlapping wave 1. So based on wave 4 being really big, based on it going through wave 1 here, then would probably be bullish at that point, and look at that moving up further. But it still haunts me a bit, because the whole move down from the top, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So yeah, we just need to be a little bit careful. We can certainly go long up here, but we just need to be mindful that the bigger picture is not quite sorted out just yet. And yes, we can come down here, because some of the low volatility stocks, if I just have a look at that for a moment, the low volatility stocks, so this would be, let me just get that in the window there. This will be things like Berkshire Hathaway, that, you know, we can look at this as an A wave here, then a B wave here, then 1 and 2, 3, 4. So we could get one more low in here for some of the markets. You know, it's not impossible just based on this. If this pushes up here further, then we don't have to worry about that. But we'll look at Berkshire in a moment. Yeah, still bullish, but yeah, so it's possible to have one more move down through here on this one. Okay, so Tesla. So the same thing applies with Tesla as well. We've got bullish counts and bearish counts. Now, it's just looking bullish. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, really. So we'll just count it on our bullish count, and we'll look for 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, which we've been doing on a bullish count. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the third wave, fourth wave. So look, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen in here. We may get something like this and something like this, and then this, then this, then that, and then this, and then this, and then it's this one over here that we're looking for. Can come back, you know, 50-60% from the low here, but wherever it is, you know, it could be anywhere, we'll find it, and that's where we'll be building in long from. Okay, so it'll be something like this. I can't remember if we had a long trade on this or not, but if you do have a long trade on this, then you know that the 200 is going to give you grief. So you're better off, you know, if you're going to hold it for the long term, then like you want to hold it through to wave 2 here. You know, that's what you'll need to do. If you don't want to do that, then get out at the 200. Because what will happen is that will be the natural initial swing range here for these falls and so on. So all it will do is, if you're trying to milk a little bit more out of it, like get to 210, 220, 230, then, which you can, but it will draw your attention and take up your time and use your money, and you wouldn't want to have a leverage position in there going through the series of these wave 4s in here. Just not worth it. So yeah, trade to the number, get out, and look for something else to do with your time. Alphabet here, so our bullish count for this is pretty much, well, just the normal ABC pattern for all of this. So as you can see here, you know, if this was going to be bearish, then it would come down from this point here, basically, because we'd look for 5 waves up here. So we can look for those 5 waves up there. You could probably count that up a little bit differently, but I think it's looking quite nice as a 5-wave structure, and it doesn't really matter how we count it up there. We still want to be looking for this wave 2 here, and because we're at 100, we can expect some type of correction across that level. Now we've got the arrival, the reaction, so we're looking for the first high above the level, so that could be wave 1 up here, and then we'll have the ABC back over here for this. So it's really this wave 2 over here that I think we may have long positions in here as well, but we can just trade that up at that point if we have. So yeah, we're looking for a classic trading levels pattern across that level. So that's what, if that's the 100 here, we're looking for we've got the arrival, we've got the reaction, we're in this process here at the moment, we're about here somewhere, and we still need that and that over here, and this is where we can build in long all over this side. Yep, so that's that. We'll go in a bit further though. Let's just have a look. Let's go to the 20k. So I'm just going really just to the bullish side of the market. So that will be something like that. You can put that here as well. I think I've got that on the 10k tick chart. And yep, so here we go. So a slightly different count, because on the 10,000 we keep a different count, a different bullish count. So yeah, look, in a nutshell, we're just really looking for, you know, wave 1 and 2 here, like Tesla and the others, you know, slightly different because these guys have already had their lows in place here. And yeah, so let's just cruise in, see what I've got on the 5k tick chart. Okay, haven't really updated that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we could go that way too. I could put that there. No, that's too much. Too much. Well, we could do a few things. Oh yeah, I can see how we can do that. Okay, I'll just have to go to, what have we got on the 1k, which is the bearish count. The bearish count is the A wave here, the ABC for the B wave here, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and then 3, 4, 5 for 3rd, 4th and 5th up here somewhere. So basically the bullish count and the bearish counter still got further to go up here. Can't really look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. It's a bit of a tricky one, this one. So I'll just see what I've got on the 100 ticks. It doesn't really matter which way we look at this here. It's just that you know, this is where the classic trading levels comes in, or the trading levels itself, because really we just really need to ask ourselves, you know, is this a trade setup? And we know the normal flow of things. We know we get the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level that will come in around the 103 sort of area. It can go high, but it's just, you know, group 1 there, 1, 2, 3, and then we'll see some sort of ABC pattern, and then we can go up again. So we're just looking for the setup here. We need to ask ourselves, is that number the tested support? And at the moment we're a long way from that. So yeah, you know, I mean, once the trading levels idea, look, it's not perfect. It's not like me, but you know, it's a useful thing because we're using price, you know, working with the price, and you know, there's a lot wrapped up in that. But I've got this here as 5 waves up here for 1 and 2, and then we counted up here, and we've got this as 1, and then came back, you know, 61.8%. So you know, maybe, you know, what we need to watch out for, just shooting the breeze here, is that we don't get some more bullish picture up here. So we get 1 and 2 and pushing up, you know. So we'll just keep a bit of an eye on that. This has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, so it's probably a 3rd wave, 4th wave, 5th wave here, so that will play out a little bit here. So we'll end up, you know, doing something here, and then it's going to be pulled back and all of this. So in this case here, because we're so close to the market, you might want to take the money off the table here, because it's just going to give you grief. And we'll look for the setup in line with the others a bit later. Microsoft is another one as well. We can look at, you know, ABC for the A wave, the B wave and the C wave in. We can look at this as wave 1 and 2. we can look at it on the bearish side as well, but if we're going to do that, we need to come down to here. So the 61.8% for, like, if we had a move back up, it would be up here. But the reason I don't think this is going to, anything is possible, but one of the reasons I don't think this is, the time that this gets to here, then there's going to be, like, the US banks and the industrials, they would have way taken out the top by then. They'll be the leaders. These are the followers. The tech stocks got hit hard because they're speculative more so. So I don't think we're going to get to here and then crash. I don't think that's the case, but we'll be aware of it. But in the meantime, we've got 5 waves here, so we should be getting another 5 waves over here. Simple as that. Now, that little spiky business in here was caused by somebody not turning the kettle off at the New York Exchange or whatever it was. So we don't really need to include all of that, so to speak. I'll just cruise in. Where are we? 20K. So that's not giving us much. The 10K will just end up giving us something and it's the same but different, so we don't need to go there. I'm just going to go to the 5. So yeah, what I'm trying to do is just tie it into those other bullish markets, that, like the Tesla and so on. Some markets have, like Tesla, have come from the bottom here, but they're still going to give us 5 waves. Other markets have come from, the October low here. Bitcoin was the November low, I think, on that, and that kind of folds into the tech stocks as well. Let me just check here. That's Bitcoin on the November, so they had the November low here. This is another one too, just by the by. We're looking at having from the low, having 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. So in a way, this is going to have, an ABC pattern and then push further up as well. So look, that, all of that tech stock stuff is, is looking busy. I should bring the Bitcoin into the tech stocks. It's kind of a techie stock, but I know that might upset people with the laser eyes. But yeah, those November lows there, that's kind of critical there. Let's just cruise into just have a look at the bearish count here. So the bearish count would be the A wave, the B wave, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. I'm not going to worry about the spike because of the mistake. And then we're looking for 3, 4, 5. So we're looking up here for this. So not so far up in this one, just being as conservative as I possibly can. But yeah, we'll be there. But in the other case, we'll be looking for this as wave 1 here and pulling back for wave 2 here. Okay, so we'll go to the 100 tick. Let's get in a bit more data. So yeah, building this case here in more of an impulse wave of 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. I think I'm okay with all of that. And then we're looking to go long here. There's still more to be had here, but it will be spending some time here. I think we only had a small trade. This is a part trade. When I got a thin green line, for any new folks, that just means that it's just a part trade. It could be, 25%, 30%, some small position anyway, not a full trade. You can either get out here, or you could probably take it out a bit further up. But I think that from what I can see here is that we need to push higher. So we will be fluffing around the 250, but we'll probably end up at the 265 here for this. Let me just check on. So they had their earnings, didn't they? Here, I'm just getting my little list here. So that's there. So what's the date today? It's the 30th today. So Tesla's gone. Those two are gone. So it's leaving Meta and Apple on February the 3rd. Okay, so this Thursday and Friday we've got this little bunch here. I mean, this is the important bunch. And Apple didn't lay anybody off, you know. That's just a small thing. I know everybody else, not a lot of other people did, but not laying anybody off. That's just a little sort of sign in the background, just a little positive shadow. So yeah, anyway, we'll push higher through there. So work out what you need to do there. So Berkshire here, we can go long above this top here, as I mentioned before. It does look like a little bit of an impulse wave here. Probably needs to pull back a little bit. I wouldn't, you know, it could certainly come down. I could, because I can't get a really nice 5-wave structure out of the third wave here. That gives me a bit of a problem at that point. There's other ways I could count it as well. I mean, if that was lower there, that would be nicer as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, but this is lower than this one, so I can't do that. There's a few issues with this, and I could put wave 1 over here on this one, and if I did that, then we'd be coming down here further. So we've come back and tested this, and then we've made a bit of a new high here, then we've pulled back from this one. So this is the right place to get in if we're going to get in here. Or just see. So we're just going to put that as a thin green line. Put that over there. Block here, that should square, sorry. We've been looking at this in a positive way here. I'm just getting my bearings after the weekend. So we've got 1 and 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1. Okay, 3, 4 here. That's good. 5. So we've got 1 and 2 here. I have to call this 1 and 2 here. This is nice and long like a third wave, but it's come back and it's overlapping this, so it's either not finished, but it looks like it's finished. So I'll probably have to look at this as wave 1 here and 2 here rather than wave 4. So we could probably come down a little bit further on all of this. We're not going to finish with 3 waves to the upside here. Right, so we should, I mean, anything's possible. We've got to be careful what you say. But in terms of Elliott, we should be seeing further upside here. So these small positions that we built in here, I'm happy to leave those, and we should end up at the 90 up here at least. And then we'll have a look at how this plays out. You can get another long position above the 85 here, that little high here. If it just goes straight up through there, you could add to that position if you wanted to, because these are only small little trades. So going long here. At 88, there's going to be profit taking, so you might want to take something out there. We'll take something off the table there, but we'll have a look at where everything is at that point. Bank of America here, so from that previous low, we're also looking at this as bullish, of course, so as 1 and 2 here. And we've got that ABC correction here. So because it's corrective, we noted that we'll be taking out that high. We've taken out the high here. Yeah, I just think it still needs to build up. I could put this as 1 and 2 here, and then 3, 4, 5, or I could also put this as wave 1 here and 2 here. So there's different ways that I could look at this. I'll just see how far it pulls back, because if it pulls back a bit deeper here, then you know, in terms of, I mean, the worst that could happen here, don't take that as being set in stone, but just this is probably here. So to retest the 35, if that was wave 1 here, that could come back into here for this. It could test this. Yeah, because see this previous high here, it's gone through that, but it hasn't come back and checked that floor there yet. So that's possible to do that. It might just be that it's a wave 4 here as well, and that would just come back to this wave 4 here roughly, and then push up from there. So that's also possible. So it's either that or that, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. We've got some pocket money on this and so on here, so we should be going higher on all of that. And that's just the dollar yen. Alrighty, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, just to recap a little bit, Friday closed strong, so we should see Monday follow through on that. We'll see profit taking on Tuesdays according to the bullish weekly cycle. The VIX is still moving down. I would have liked to see more volume come into these trends that we're looking at, but I can see from Tesla and all these stocks that we still got further to edge higher. So that's our trend. Alrighty, cheers.